So homeostasis is the process by which biological systems tend to maintain stability while adjusting to changes. This primarily happens by negative feedback, and negative feedback is shown here in this little diagram. So what happens initially is a stimulus or a change causes an imbalance to the system. So this is then recognized by a receptor. The receptor then sends the information of the change to the control center. The control center then determines what needs to be done to correct the change and sends this information to the effector. The effector receives the information and makes the necessary change, returning the system back to balance and to a homeostatic condition. Even though this next example isn't a biological process, the temperature change within a room in recognition by a thermostat and the air conditioning or heater shows this negative feedback process.
Oh my gosh, it is so cold in here, isn't it, puppy? Arr. Let's check this thermostat. Oh my gosh, it is so cold. I need to make sure this thing is on high. That should do it. It is getting warm in here. Don't need this anymore.
The thermoregulation mechanisms, which I introduced just before, is controlled by the thermoregulatory center, situated in the hypothalamus in the brain, and it tries to keep an internal temperature balanced. Now, in the hypothalamus area are also thermoreceptors, which detect changes inside the body, and there are thermoreceptors on the skin, which detect changes to the temperature on the outside. Now, the thermoreceptors in the skin are known as the peripheral receptors, and the ones for internal temperature in the hypothalamus are known as the central receptors. Let's look at an example of thermoregulation. If the peripheral thermoreceptor senses changes in temperature, it will send these signals to the thermoregulatory center. This information will then get processed, and an appropriate response will be sent to the body to try to keep the internal temperature stable. An autonomic response. Now, depending on what the initial stimulation was from, the thermoregulatory center's response can be either responding to cold weather, which means that it will try to retain heat, or it can be responding to hot weather, which means it needs to lose heat to keep internal body temperature in equilibrium. The mechanism of how to lose heat if the body is responding to a rise in temperature is by dilating its blood vessels, also known as vasodilation. And another response is by sweating. And if the body is responding to cold, the body will shiver or use non-shivering mechanisms such as stored fat.